Hello, lover. You've just entered a portal of pleasure, power, and deep, unapologetic sensuality. This is Talk Tantra to Me, where we liberate your authentic self, reclaim the wisdom of the body, and let pleasure lead the way. I'm your guide, Leola, tantrika, pleasure priestess, best-selling author of Sacred Sex Ed, and devoted student of the erotic mysteries. I'm here to strip away shame and awaken your most radiant, sacred, and sensual self. Get in, babe. We're conspiring for your most pleasurable life and seducing the world into a greater good. So, take a deep breath with a vocal exhale, relax that delicious body of yours, and let's talk Tantra. I see you, sister, already so spiritual, deeply devoted to your path, but something in you knows there's more. You've meditated, manifested, maybe even danced under the full moon, but have you fully felt the power of your unapologetic pleasure and sensuality? Have you allowed your body to become your greatest teacher? Have you stepped into leadership in love? The Pleasure Priestess Initiation is your next step. A full year of deep sisterhood where we do life and love together. Online, in ritual, month after month, and in the flesh for a juicy in-person immersion. We'll explore powerful Tantra practices that you can take home and adapt, whether for your beloved, your sisters, or even for your own community. Plus, we'll have amazing guest sexperts, medicine women, and other powerful priestesses already walking the path, coming to share their expertise with you, as well as group masterminds, an electric WhatsApp chat, and high-level support as you step into your fullest expression. The initiation is open for enrollment now to start at the end of April. But as soon as you join, you get access to a vault of over 40 hours of other tantric trainings and resources. This is more than a program, it's an initiation into your power, into your pleasure, into the woman you know you came here to be. Are you ready to awaken the pleasure priestess within? Click the link in the show notes to claim your seat in the temple. Hello, lovers. Welcome to another juicy episode. Today, I'm going to be sharing confessions of a pleasure priestess. I sat down and took some notes today, writing down some of my confessions, writing down what was feeling alive for me. And that's how it started. I was just sharing like, what's alive for me in this season of life? And it turned into, wow, some of these feel edgy. Some of these feel like confessions. And that's how the title came to be, Confessions of a Pleasure Priestess. And this is likely going to be, just like, I feel like I'm real and raw and vulnerable in all of the episodes, but this is one where I'm just letting it all hang out. I was taking notes. I was writing out my confessions this morning in preparation for this recording, and I was crying, so I don't know what this is going to look like exactly, but I'm really happy that you're here. I really feel that a lot of people are going to resonate with a lot of the words that I share today. But this is going to be, an untamed, sacred, messy expression of my truth in this moment, living as a modern day pleasure priestess. I'm going to be sharing some of my, highs and lows and some of the shadow work that I've been doing, shadow work is just such a big part of the priestess path. Bringing light into the places within us that, we might be afraid to look at or might need healing. I'm going to be talking about my personal life. I'm going to be talking about business. I'm going to be talking about friendships, all unfiltered, really giving you guys some behind the scenes moments that, you don't see on my Instagram. Some behind the scenes moments that even some of my friends don't get to see. Although if they listen to the podcast, they'll know. And it's also going to be an opportunity to me, I really see vulnerability as a power move. So this is a moment for me as well to just own what is pleasure to me in this season of life and what is power. And this isn't meant to just be, this isn't going to be like other episodes necessarily. It's meant to be more of a living transmission of my own lived experience as a tantrika, as a leader, as a teacher, as a human fucking being doing this thing called life, right? So my intention in this episode is to kind of have it be like late night confessional meets priestess transmission vibe. So if you're listening in, this is your invitation to do what you need to do to get into that energy, that vibration. I've got roses off the camera. I have my special little elixir here that I'm sipping on. Invitation to pour a glass of wine if that's your thing. I'm not drinking wine, but I did think about it. Maybe light some candles, get yourself on a nice cushy rug. I know that some of you might be listening in the car or on the go. Take a deep breath here. Allow yourself to really relax and soften into this episode because it's going to be a juicy one. Also, at the end of this episode, I do have a special invitation for you, a little free gift at the end. So make sure you stay and listen to the entire episode. So before I get into my confessions, and there are 7 confessions that I'm going to be sharing with you, before I get into those, I want to just highlight one of the things that I love about Tantra, which you've probably heard me say a bajillion times, whether you've been listening to this podcast or on Instagram or on other people's podcasts or in real life at events. Tantra to me is really a practice of self-awareness and calibration because Tantra is a Sanskrit word, which is an ancient language from East Asia in which many, spiritual Hindu and tantric texts were written in. And so Tantra is actually 2 Sanskrit words / concepts put together. So we have Tan and Tra. Tan means to expand and Tra means to liberate. So I really love just looking at the definition of Tantra in that way, as it is this modality for expansion and liberation. And the beauty of that definition is that it's so subjective, meaning, what is expansive and liberating to me is going to be very different than, each and every one of you that are listening. And also, what is expansive and liberating to me in this chapter of life is very different than what it was in past chapters of life. And that's a lot of what this episode is about and why it feels like a confessional, because it's like I'm just in a new season of life and things feel different and I am calibrating to a new version of my highest self, and the things that I did, the beliefs that I had in my, more recent past are no longer feeling as expansive and liberating as they once were. And that doesn't make the past or the last chapter bad or wrong. It doesn't mean that I wasn't utilizing that time well or that it didn't serve me. It's just about, again, like living a tantric lifestyle is one of calibration. It's about, like dying 1,000 deaths. It's like the death of the tantrika or the Daka, the male tantric practitioner, whoever, like any follower of Tantra, the death of I feel like I'm talking in circles. The death of the tantrika is the moment that she says, I am this. I am this, I am this, I am this, and like commits to it with like such a level of like attachment and ego. And so again, the tantrika is she who dies 1,000 deaths because she is always willing to be reborn into her next level of expansion and liberation. And so I'm going to be sharing what that's been looking like for me in this season of life in a very real and raw way. So I also want to give a shout out to my amazing clients. I have such incredible beings coming into my life and my world and my work at this time. And I feel truly blessed to feel so inspired by them. And I was on a coaching call yesterday with one of my private one-on-one clients, and she's going through a breakup, and she's really going through it. And just one of those seasons where it feels like I can't do it. Like life is hard. My business is hard. Being the embodiment of my work feels really hard. And we were just talking about, sometimes life looks like that. And to be honest, a lot of my life, especially last year, looked like that. A lot of it was really beautiful, but a lot of it was really challenging. But what I shared with her is, what would it look like for you to show up as this version of yourself and be really real, raw, and relatable, and like speak to what you're moving through? And that doesn't mean that you need to out yourself like, oh, I'm going through this breakup and my ex is such a blah, 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 like whatever. It can look like, girl, like this is the energy of the world right now. This is what we're feeling. This is what we're moving through. And just like being a girl's girl and keeping it real. And I'll just share like I have found that level of vulnerability and authenticity is magnetic as fuck. Interestingly, like I feel like I just want to really hammer in this theme, because to me, this gift of emotional alchemy is one of the greatest gifts of the divine feminine, and particularly even the dark feminine. And I talk a lot about the dark feminine in my work. And I'll be sharing a little bit more about the dark feminine later in this podcast. But we've often, as women, been conditioned to fear or to suppress our emotions because we'll be perceived as crazy or unstable or like selfishly taking up too much space or just out of control, all the things. And that is true. Like emotions can be that big and take over and be messy, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. However, it can come out in shadow as well, right? When we do allow our emotions to rule us to the point like that we let our emotions have us rather than having our emotions and moving through them and alchemizing them. But the real gift of like the divine feminine is her ability to really feel and surrender herself to the emotions as her teachers, like to see the emotions as her teachers, which I talked about a lot in my last solo episode, which was about 2 episodes ago, called the body is a mystery school. So if you're feeling like this is landing for you, or you're curious about this concept, maybe go back and listen to that one as well. But I've just been finding this theme showing up again and again with such truth. I was interviewing Jordan Bowditch for the podcast a couple days ago. His episode, I think, is going to be the next one, or like it's coming up in the next couple of months. So stay tuned. Jordan is a friend, and he is like also an incredible men's coach. So if you're a man in this space, highly recommend working with Jordan Bowditch. And he'll be on the podcast. Andrew has been in several of his containers. He's great. So anyways, I was talking to him about him and his wife. And interestingly, he said that the thing that like really turned him on or like inspired him to ask out his now wife was her sharing about her breakup on Facebook. Like, how nuts is that? Like, she was just being real and raw and like grounded in her emotions. She found a safe space to express her emotions, to move through them, and then she brought her alchemy to Facebook. And that's literally how she found her husband. Like, how fucking nuts is that? And I have found my husband through different dark feminine gifts, which is a whole other story that I'm not going to get into today. But I just want to like put this exclamation point on this reality that your emotions are powerful and magnetic on purpose when you allow yourself to alchemize them. And sometimes that does require some support, a mentor, medicine, etc. And again, that's a whole other conversation. I'll share one more example of this before I get into the confessions because I'm kind of on a roll. So I'll also share, I do co-ed retreats, and the Tantra Love Retreat is our amazing co-ed retreat. We host it twice a year. Host it with my work husband, Justin Gottlieb. He's amazing. Like last week we hosted our 6th one, and so much of the confessions that I'm going to share today, I feel like came through because of that container. And I'll just say, like, point blank, you guys, I'm also on the path. I'm also learning. Like, I'm also a student. I'm a student of my own teachings. Okay. And every time I do a Tantra Love Retreat, our participants have insane breakthroughs, but I also have insane breakthroughs. And I'll share that a lot of the breakthroughs I'm going to be sharing about today in my confessions. But the retreat that we had before this last retreat, so like 2 retreats ago, the one that we did in September of last year, I was in it. It was like, we had that retreat like shortly after my book launched. I'm in the middle of planning a wedding. My husband recently was diagnosed with bipolar 2. And like, we're in it. Like, we're figuring out, like, are we still going to have this wedding? I think so. But also life is really hard right now. And it feels really hard to like commit to a life together when it's like, we're in a fucking season of challenge. And so at the retreat, I was like real. I was like, this is where I'm at. There's one day where we split up the men and women to do separate work. The men do a warrior style activation. The women do a priestess style activation. And during the priestess activation, there's space for all of the women to really just like open their hearts, be raw and vulnerable. And of course, I always share my raw vulnerabilities at that time as well. And that time though was the most raw and vulnerable I had been. And I full out had a catharsis, cried, was expressing, was really in it. And the beautiful thing about this ritual and women's work in general, when it's so heart-centered and women are so vulnerable, is that we heal together. Like, each woman sharing her piece, and like, I'm not going to go too into what we do, but each woman sharing her piece, sharing her pain, sharing her what's real, alive, what she's holding on to, what she's letting go of. Like, every woman that shares that is initiating all of the other women who are listening and allowing them to reflect and take that learning with them. And this is like the beauty of the work that I do. And also the challenge is like, I feel like this sounds so esoteric, but you just have to be there. You just have to be there and get it. And you know, there are tons of containers within working with me and with others that you can find that. But I'm partial to my own. So anyways, that time, 2 retreats ago, I full on had a catharsis and was just like really in my real raw emotion, but alchemized it and held that like pillar of possibility. And that retreat was my most like abundant retreat ever, especially after the retreat. So like every retreat we tend to make around the same amount because we sell out and like, it's just like, you know, we know how much we're going to make. But after the retreat, I had so many of the participants that wanted to work with me one-on-one, join Pleasure Priestess, like come to my other containers, and I swear it was because of how real, raw, vulnerable I was and how I demonstrated the alchemy of that and how magnetic it was. And I literally received that reflection from one woman who is also an incredible, you know, tantrika leader in the space. And, you know, she came to the retreat. She's done a bunch of work already. And she specifically said to me, I've been in a ton of these spaces and I've always felt called to work with you one-on-one. I didn't know why, and I never pulled the trigger, but now I'm ready to pull the trigger because I saw you and your leadership. Like, that is leadership to really go there, you know? And so anyways, so that's also why I share this. And like the invitation here is to invite you to do that in your own way, in your own life. It's not easy, but once you like feel how fulfilling it is for yourself and receive those reflections from others, it's like, this is the way it gets to be. I'll share one last example of this while I'm on the roll. Beyonce, okay? Beyonce's Lemonade album, hello. Talk about emotional alchemy. That whole album is about her husband partner cheating on her and like reclaiming her power. And it's incredible. You know, it's incredible the success that was created for her because of that album, the like women's hearts and the lives that she touched because of it. Another great example, Cheryl Strayed, who is the author of Wild, she goes through a divorce, does this incredible solo pilgrimage down the Pacific Coast Trail, and then writes a book about it. And again, touches, you know, millions of people between the book and the movie that she was played by Reese Witherspoon in the movie. So anyways, let's get into these confessions, okay? Let's get into these confessions. I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous. I'm going to be real. Okay. So, confession number one. And I'm going to be looking at my notes a little bit through this, just FYI. When I'm nervous, I have notes. That's my confession number one. Just kidding. That's confession number 0. Confession number 1 is my priorities in life are majorly changing right now, and I'm kind of having an identity crisis about it. Not kind of, I am definitely having an identity crisis about it. It's weird. It's raw. It's so much. Like, I can just feel my heart beating faster and this like energy like in my stomach. It's not like a weight, like it feels like power. Even just saying that out loud, I feel an opening in my heart. I feel a like expansion in my solar plexus. And I also kind of want to throw up, but yeah, it's true. I'm having a bit of an identity crisis, and it's majorly because of my priorities changing and shifting, and my desires changing and shifting. And honestly, all of the confessions, not all of them, but most of the confessions are related to those priorities changing. But I think that I want to like double down here for confession number 1 on sharing this piece that in this season of life, I am really wanting to give less fucks. I'm wanting to give less fucks. And I have been wanting to give less fucks. And now I'm in this season where I'm like actually taking action on giving less fucks. Does that make sense? Like, you know, when you're like, I care, but I don't want to care, but you're like kind of addicted to how much you care. Like, I feel like I'm finally done being addicted to caring so much. And now I'm just actively giving less fucks. I'm lowering the bar majorly. And that sounds like, it's so funny because like past versions of myself would say that's so unsexy. Lowering the bar, like, ooh, ick. Especially as a Capricorn, I think like the Capricorn is the eternal, let's raise the bar, let's fucking go all out, ambitious, make it better, let's go. And yeah, but I'm majorly lowering the bar. And yeah, like I do feel like there's two sides of me. The part that wants to be important as fuck, therefore gives more fucks. But there's this deeper, truer desire that I like kind of, there are moments, and this isn't exclusively true, okay? But like there are moments where I don't want to be anything for anyone. I don't want to be Leola the talk Tantra to me lady. I don't want to be Leola the wife. I don't want to be Leola the best friend. I don't want to be Leola the owner of my amazing dogs. I don't want to be Leola anything. I just want to be, okay? And that is a piece of who I am. Like that is a piece that is wanting to have more attention this season of life. And I want to be very clear. I want all these things. I love being Leola, your tantra guide. I love being mummy to my doggies. I love being wifey and feeling this different energy coming through. And I'll share how this started, because it started 9 months ago, actually, like almost to the day. And I don't think I've actually fully told this story before, but I think I've alluded to it. Maybe I've told it, I don't know, on the podcast is what I'm talking about. I don't know if I've told the story on the podcast, but 9 months ago, I went to Madagascar. I felt very called to go there. When I travel, it is not just to like have a good time. It's very much a spiritual pilgrimage to me to travel. It is an opportunity for me to make love to the land, to offer my prayers, as well as to receive transmissions from the land. And every time I travel, I have massive breakthroughs, okay, in my life. And so Madagascar is a place that I have felt called to go to for many, many years. And finally, I was able to go last year. And it was an incredible journey. And there was one particular moment where all of this was catalyzed, like where I am now, giving less fucks, lowering the bar, all of that. And that was, I did like this day trip where we went and did this like wildlife adventure. We played with like lemurs and tortoises and like all the incredible biodiversity that can be found in Madagascar on these islands off the east coast of Africa, southeast coast of Africa. And it was incredible. Like, I had this beautiful day. And it's important for you to know that so most of the people there in Madagascar speak French. And there's like, I didn't see a single other American in Madagascar the entire time I was there. It was all Madagascarans, people from Africa, other parts of Africa, and some Europeans. And on this trip that I went on, it was a small group. It was like 7 of us, maybe less. It was like 5 to 7 of us. And it was like a couple of the tour guides who were local. And then it was like tourists, but all of the tourists were from non-English speaking countries as well. And they spoke like a tiny bit of English. And so I had this entire day where I just kind of got to exist alongside this, like I was solo traveling. So it's just me and like a group of other people that are like on their honeymoon or like on their family trip, and like they're fully immersed in each other. And so I was just like existing as a joyful, grateful being that was excited to be exploring Madagascar. And that was it. Like, that was my bar for the day. Like, that's who I was. That's all I had to do. That's all I had to be, was like, be a good person, really. Like, that's it. And I had this moment, we had like braked for lunch and we were we could snorkel if we wanted at lunch. And so I was out snorkeling and like I was by myself. There weren't really anyone else. Like, everyone else was on the beach. I was like snorkeling by myself, and the sea turtle swims under me, and I'm just living life. It's amazing. And I go and I swim back to shore, and it feels like I'm in the hot sun, and it feels like a lightning bolt kind of hits me in that moment, and I'm just like blissed out. Like, I'm just fully blissed out. Like, this is it. I love this. Like, I just reached this deeper state of peace. Like, lightning bolt isn't the right word because lightning bolt sounds really energizing, but it was actually like a lightning bolt of relaxation penetrating my body. And it was like, oh, this feels really good. This feels so good in this exact moment, exactly where I am, being exactly who I be in this moment, that I don't want to go home. Which is crazy because I love my life at home. I love my home. I love my dogs. I love my work. I love my husband. I love my friends. Like, I have a dream life. And yet I'm noticing in this moment, this feels so good. I don't want to go home because I don't want this moment to end. And realizing, oh, it's not about the things at home, the things that aren't like, it's not about the separation that I have from my work and my roles as Leola that is giving me this sense of peace. It's my relationship to those things that is causing me different stress that I am creating. Like, I am the source of the resistance that I'm having towards those things. Like, I know that I could tap into this level of peace and bliss on the day-to-day if I wanted to, but it would take a major ego death. Like, it would take a major releasing of my attachment to those things. And so that was the beginning of, I am lowering the bar. Like, I am lowering the bar in my life to access this space more often because like, just like it's realizing like, oh, it's my attachment to all of these things and like how I'm getting validation or worth or wanting to overgive or overdeliver or be the best wife or be like all of the things that's actually creating any level of tension that I didn't even know that I had with these things. Or like, I think that the better way to say it is like keeping me from like relaxing into those things and feeling this type of peace that I'm feeling in Madagascar off like the coast. I don't know. I feel like this is like one of those things where like it probably I'm feeling like I'm totally projecting onto the listener right now, but like I'm like, either you guys are like, this is so simple, like Leola, I know this already, like this is dumb, or you're like, what are you talking about? And I think that the truth is like all of these things, if I would have heard myself say all of the things that I'm saying now 2 years ago, I would have been like, duh. But I felt it at a different level. Okay. So, anyways, my controversial advice is lower the bar in your life. Lower the bar, make the bar just being a good person and see what happens. And this isn't for everyone. Okay. There are those that I'm like, you need to raise the bar. You need to like get your shit together. Like, let's fucking go. You've got it and you're selling yourself short. And there's also those people that are listening that are way overdoing it in all parts of their life for one reason or another, probably because you're outsourcing your validation or worth to various roles and you need to lower the bar and chill the fuck out. So that's that. I've been on this whole journey over these last 9 months of creating spaciousness. And the funny thing about that is that like literally like this Madagascar trip happened the month before my book launch. I'm again planning a wedding. Andrew, like the next week has like a major manic episode that then leads to the bipolar diagnosis. So like in reality, like I wasn't fully like, it was really hard for me to integrate that lesson at that time because like I really needed to like be in my life in a major way at that time. But it's been a journey of letting go of things. And I think that because of how intense my life got in certain moments last year, I had to also lower the bar because it was impossible for me to do it all perfectly considering all the things that were going on. So in a way, it was supportive to me as well to have my life kind of be challenging at that time. Okay, I need to hurry up because I'm still only on confession 1 and we're almost 30 minutes into this podcast. So I am so turned on by the fact that thousands of souls are tuning into these words at different times, in different places, all across the world. But you know what really gives me a soulgasm? Connecting in real time, feeling the energy shift in the room, witnessing bodies soften, hearts open, and pleasure ripple through the space like wildfire. This is the magic of our live events in Austin, LA, and online, where we don't just talk about sacred intimacy, we truly live it and embody it. And if you're really ready to quantum leap into your full pleasure potential, you could spend years in therapy, or you could spend 4 days immersed in the ultimate tantric initiation at one of our signature retreats on a lush 46-acre horse ranch here in Austin, Texas. We have the Women's Pleasure Portal Retreat coming up over Lionsgate 8/8, which is arguably the best time of the year to manifest, by the way. This is going to be a sacred feminine rebirth and tantric awakening designed to help you reclaim your radiance and activate your most magnetic, turned on self. We also have the Tantra Love Retreat, which is co-ed and happens twice a year. This one is for singles and couples ready to crack open their hearts, deepen intimacy, and experience soul-melting tantric practices in a safe and sacred container. Your body already knows it's time. Join us at www.talktantratome.com/events or find the direct link in the show notes. Cannot wait to squeeze you and see you in real time. Let's continue. I'll just share like a little bit more of like what this has looked like, lowering the bar. I think that like it's been lowering the bar of everything outside of me and almost raising the bar inside of me, if that makes sense. And so I've also been on this whole journey of like more, even an even deeper commitment to wellness. And I feel like every spring I say this, like I'm committing even deeper to wellness, and I'm actually pretty consistent with it. Like I think year after year, the intentions that I set are like bigger and my health and wellness like practices expand. But lately, I'm just going to brag. I have been doing such a good job of taking my vitamins, owning that. I've been such a good girl with the vitamins, such a good girl. Which like I've always taken vitamins, but I've never been as consistent. Like I am taking them twice a day, like clockwork, haven't missed a single dose. Whereas normally like I would miss doses, or like I'd go on a trip and take that I would go on a trip and I would take that as an excuse to like, I'll take a break from my vitamins this week. No, we are taking our vitamins every day, twice a day, and it's hot. Okay, so that's that. I've been journaling again. Not every day. I was doing every day in the morning. That was great. I'm not doing it as much every day, but I'm still journaling more than I have in the past. Like, I feel like there's this thing, like in the beginning stages of my spiritual journey, I was like, I'm doing all these things. I'm journaling, I'm meditating, I'm doing it. And that was great. And then like over time, like a lot of those things slowly fell off, and I kind of kept my self-care routine, my self-love routine to the minimum. And now I'm just back to basics, really. Like, I'm back to the basics of what I know works. I've also had a chiropractor be coming to my house, which is such a hack. Anyone in Austin, I highly recommend Becoming the Medicine. That's his Instagram name, Becoming the Medicine. He is great. He comes to your house. He'll adjust you. Highly recommend. That's been awesome. I've had scoliosis my entire life, and I've always had issues with my back, and like, this has just been such a hack. I also started doing Pilates. I am now a Pilates girly, but I am not a leave the house in like Pilates socks and pants girly and then get a smoothie after girly. I am a Studio by Ash Pilates at home girly. Pilates in my underwear girly. I found out about, I'm just gonna like, this is a shameless like share plug. I don't get anything for this. I'm actually just gonna pull up. I have my phone here. Studio Ash Pilates. Studio Ash Pilates. I found out about her from another podcast that I listened to, and I was like, fuck it, I'll give it a try. There's a week free. I love it. I love it. And if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you'll know like I don't love moving my body. I've kind of always struggled with working out. That's like been the hardest part of self-care for me, like consistently through my entire life. I was never sporty. Eating healthy, not a problem. Like working out, not my fave. But and like last year I was doing CrossFit. I was doing all this intense stuff, which was great, but it kept fucking up my back. So I had a few chiropractors recommend Pilates actually, and I have been really enjoying it. It's like I do like usually I do around 30 minutes a day, 5 times a week. And then the other days I'll go on a longer walk. But some days I do 15 minutes. There was one day this week that I was like rushing off to go to some meetings, but I was like, I can sneak in 15 minutes of Pilates before I leave. And I was like, who am I? Who am I to like be trying to like squeeze in a workout because I enjoy it? What? I don't know. It's great. I'm really loving it. And I love that, again, I can just do it at home in my underwear. Like that's the vibe. Like that to me is pleasure. So, and that just leads into the next piece of like really just to tie a bow on confession number 1, which is, again, priorities are changing and we're lowering the bar. This is something that's been amazing, like in all aspects of my life, and is like something that I teach, which is just doubling down on pleasure, making every moment of life a meditation of how can I make this moment even more pleasurable? How many pleasure breaks can I take in a day? Instead of like using those 15 minutes in between meetings to, get like check Slack or something. Like, what if I went outside and literally planted some dill in my garden? Like I literally did that today in between things. It's like, it's so nice. So yeah, just being really curious about where in my life am I giving my pleasure away? And if it isn't, if something in my life isn't giving me pleasure, a paycheck, or peace, it's time to send it packing. And that's something that I say all the time, but I'm just reiterating it here. I've been practicing what I preach to a different degree in this season of life, and it feels so good. It feels so good. Okay, confession number 2, finally. I know you guys are like, come on, girl. We're done with this confession number 1. Let's go. Okay, this one feels really etchy to say. Confession number 2. I want less friends. I want less friends. Yeah, that's so weird to say on so many levels. I think that like the thing that I'll say about this is that this season of life is so spacious, so relaxed, And I feel like sometimes what happens when you create spaciousness is that you have the space to feel things that you haven't fully felt yet. You have time to process or heal the things that were kind of put on the back burner in different seasons of your life. And I feel like one of those has been friendships, has been really processing how I show up, how I feel about friendships. And just to like give a little like backtrack of like my life and my relationship, like how do I do this? Okay, so I have realized recently, and this kind of came off of the retreat, like that I said, like, I said I have breakthroughs that come through. I started to notice this like tension that I was feeling with some individuals and getting curious about what that was about. And so there was a pain piece that I was like curious about exploring and going deeper in and noticing like there's something here for me to heal. And again, referencing back to the Body is a Mystery School, which was from 2 episodes, like this is the work that we're talking about, is like noticing when you're talking to people, various types of people, kind of like different, walking into certain types of rooms, whatever, noticing like the small shifts that happen in your body and getting curious about why your body is reacting in a certain way and using that information as data. And so that's really what it was. And so I did this self-pleasure practice that is kind of like, the idea is that you're de-armoring your pain pieces with pleasure. So this is like, I'm going to speak to this very in essence. You do a self-pleasure practice, and while you're in the pleasure, you actually intentionally bring up things in your life that are feeling crunchy, hard, painful, past traumatic memories, like anything that you have a contraction around. And the pleasure that you're feeling in your body and connecting to life force, connecting to the energy that literally brought you into this world via the self-pleasure is what allows you to like de-armor the pain a little bit and go into it with a bit of curiosity. And that sounds, some of you might like be like, what the fuck is this girl talking about? That's fine. I actually do teach about this in the Pleasure Priestess Initiation, which is my year-long container for women. I can also teach about it in some of my other private containers and retreats. But that being said, that's what I did it on myself. And it really can bring up this healing and this catharsis for you. For me, I had all of these memories resurface of me being bullied. If you would have asked me 3 months ago, Leola, were you bullied as a child? I would have said, not really, like nothing major besides like, the typical like kid stuff, No, I was like full on bullied. And it wasn't even like I blacked out those memories. It was just that I majorly minimized them. And I did the same thing with my sexual assault. Once I started, like, just backtrack, different story, but when I started learning about Tantra and shamanic sexuality, I realized I had all this sexual trauma that I didn't even realize. And I realized that I was sexually assaulted and I didn't tell anyone. I didn't own it for myself because I didn't want to be the victim. And that's a very common thing, especially for people, I think, probably people listening to this podcast. I think a lot of people that are into self-development are like this, that they're so wanting to find the purpose of the bad things happening in our lives that we bypass the pain, we bypass the victimhood, because we don't want to be a victim. That doesn't feel empowering. So it's like, I don't want to feel disempowered. So I'm going to like bypass being the victim. So I did that with my sexual assault. And now I realized, oh, I did that with the bullying that I experienced as a child. So I've been on this journey of like really looking at like, okay, like let me go through each stage of my childhood and teen years and even like college years and even beyond and see like, and just notice what my friendships were like in those seasons. And basically what I came to is there wasn't really a single season of my life where there wasn't some level of bullying. And noticing this definitely is impacting my friendships. and I have an amazing group of friends and I have amazing relationships. And I think that healing is, there's always another level deeper to go. And I am finding my next layer and I'm excited about it. And it's also freaking hard and deep and big. And so over the last few months, I've been doing really over the last year, but especially over the last couple of months, I've been doing the least amount socially that I've ever done in my entire life. I've been really turning inwards. It's been great. It's also been hard, but yeah, I think that I like there's been this noticing that I've always had a desire to have a lot of friends, a desire to be invited to a lot of things, and noticing that a lot of that desire isn't coming from an authentic place. It's coming from a place of, I want to be included because that means safety. I want to be invited to this event because that means that I'm popular and therefore I'm important and therefore I'm validated for my ego is validated for my worthiness and lovability and respectability. And that's not inherently bad, but it was totally shadowed, right? Like that wasn't fully brought online. And so I'm in the season of how much of my desire to be invited to everything and to be friends with everyone and their brother is actually genuine, and how much of it is just wanting to be validated and a desire to just be there. And the honest truth is that I think that we're living in this reality where it's easier than ever to connect with hundreds and hundreds of people, and that's not normal. Like that's not how humans evolved. I forgot who said this, where this comes from, but it is scientifically based somehow. We're only meant to have up to 150 connections with people at a time. Someone needs to go in and do the deeper research on this. I'm just saying this off of memory. But yeah, it just has brought me up to think like I actually want less friends. I want to really think about who are the people that I feel really safe with to heal these wounds with, these sisterhood wounds, these brotherhood wounds. How can I really go deeper into that and notice, yeah, I just want less friends in this season, and to really prioritize the quality, and again, use my body as a mystery school to notice which connections are feeling like an aligned yes, because of how they feel in my body and how I feel around those people. So, and I just want to just emphasize again, sisterhood is so important. And that's really what this is about. It's about having even more authentic sisterhood. And I also just want to honor that, despite this realization, which is an edgy confession, I also am so grateful for all of the friends, all of the relationships that I have. And this isn't about me wanting to cut people out of my life at all. That's not it, 0%. It's also not about me wanting to not take on any more, because I'm definitely open to that, again, especially to people that feel really aligned for me in this season of life, because I've already healed so much through my sisterhood because of the women that are currently in my life. The story that I like to tell is, especially around birthdays, I have such birthday trauma. My birthday is around Christmas. I never felt prioritized by my family, by my friends. I never got to spend my birthday with my friends usually because they were doing holiday things with their families. And so, one of my core wounds is my very best friend in first grade or second grade. Our moms scheduled our birthday parties on the same day. And of course, my mom scheduled my birthday and my older sister's birthday on the same day because our birthdays were a month apart. And bless her soul, I totally get it. It was easier to schedule them together. She wasn't trying to traumatize me. It's not a big deal. And what ended up happening is that all of my friends went to my best friend's birthday party that I also couldn't be at because I was at my birthday party, and I had no gifts, no friends there, and I was so sad. And I never really processed that either, to be honest. So anyways, for birthdays, I have been majorly healed. The example that I like to use is, I have this group of closer girlfriends here in Austin, and we do life together. We do so many things together. So grateful for them. And for our birthdays, we've kind of a lot of us moved to Austin around the same time 3 years ago. So over the past 3 years, we've been connecting, we've been deepening, and we go through, birthdays together, all of our birthdays together. And generally what happens is, whoever's birthday it is, we create a custom chat about them. Hey, Sophia's birthday is coming up. I'm going to figure out what she wants. So I'll get a list of all the things that Sophia wants. And we will basically like organize within the girl group to get her all the things that she wants on her list. So she has an amazing birthday and we create a ritual for her and like all of these things. And so I've seen this happen for every single one of my friends. And then, it's my birthday a couple of months ago, and I knew because I had been on the other side, I knew there is a secret group where all of my friends are chatting about me and conspiring for my pleasure and my joy and my amazing birthday. And how amazing is that? How beautiful is that? How validating is that? How healing is that? Amazing. So I just want to end on that bit. It's also been amazing to see, bachelorette parties for myself, for the other girls in my group. I went to a baby blessing, a baby shower a couple of weeks ago for my friend Mel Wells. She's going to be guest teaching in the Pleasure Priestess. She's also going to be on the podcast soon. And seeing her in her radiant reclamation pregnancy. And I was able to do a devotional undressing Tantra ritual for her as a part of her sacred bath ritual for her baby blessing. Like, it's just amazing to see how, like, I've been so blessed. I've been so blessed around my sisterhood. And the confession is that deep down in this season of life, I want less friends. I do. I don't want to be, I'm done being hung up on being invited to everything and being important to everyone. I'm complete. Okay. We've got to hurry. Confession number three, another edgy one. I am addicted to my phone. And I think this is also probably because it's I think that this is also connected to the fact that my phone is deeply entwined with my business. I do a lot. I'm literally using my phone right now to do this podcast. So there's that. Slack's on my phone, Instagram's on my phone, emails are on my phone, my like sales they're all on my phone. And so there's that piece. And I'm also a bit addicted to my business, which I'll get into in a second. But literally, Andrew and I joke with each other and we'll be like, you need to put down your crack pipe when we're on our phone and we're like trying to connect with each other. Put down your crack pipe. I'm trying to chat with you. And just like any addiction, I think for many people with addiction, you kind of have to go to a really low place where you like, when you finally like, all right, I need to stop this. I've known I've been addicted to my phone. And over the years, I've tried different things to monitor it and to try to not be addicted to my phone. And I feel like I finally got to this point where I hit rock bottom and realized my addiction to my phone is impacting my peace and my pleasure. It is no longer one of those things that is giving me more pleasure, peace, or a paycheck than it isn't. And so I have to stop this. So last week I turned my phone off for 2 days and it was so delicious. And so I'm committing to doing that more. I also have been, since the beginning of the year, I have been turning off my phone around 7 or 8 p.m. and leaving it in the living room. And then in the morning, I don't go straight to my phone. I generally do my whole morning routine. Sometimes I'll do Pilates before I even touch my phone or make breakfast. And then I'm really intentional when I do go to my phone. And I am super committed to doing that even more. I feel like the illusion is broken and I'm no longer addicted to my phone. Granted, I feel like the low point happened like a week ago. So I'm still like in that like, yeah, I'm no longer letting this addiction govern me, and we'll see how things go. But I'm just owning it. That's my confession number 3. Okay, confession number 4. I am anxiously attached to my business. And this is something that I teach about. I teach about having a secure attachment to your business. If you're not familiar with the attachment styles, an amazing body of work that most people talk about in relation to their relationships, especially their romantic relationships. And you generally tend to be an anxious attachment, an avoidant attachment, a disorganized attachment, which means a mix of both of those, or a secure attachment. And secure attachment is obviously the goal. And I highly recommend, if you haven't done any work around the attachment styles, that you do that work. I feel like most people have done it now, but do that work. But all of that applies to your business as well. And I definitely tend to be an anxiously attached person generally. I'm a little bit disorganized. now I would say, I've done a lot of work around this, and like the goal is like you're not anxious forever, but there tends to be places where you lean into when things get hard. But I'm much more secure in relationship than I've ever been, and I would consider myself secure now. And these are things that we've like kind of always got. It's not like you flip a switch and you're suddenly secure in relationship in all areas of your life. You've got to keep working on this part of yourself. And be conscious of the patterns that show up in relation to whether you're anxious or avoidant in relationship or in any other part of your life. So yeah, I have an anxious attachment to my business, which really shows up as like, again, like wanting, similar to how if you had an anxious relationship, you would be looking to your partner to validate you and like constantly checking in and making sure things are okay and people pleasing and over delivering and all those things. And I've known this in my business. I've been tracking it since forever. I teach about this and it's cropped back up more. And I think it's because, again, last year was such an explosive year, especially in my business. Again, like I launched my book, like I launched Pleasure Priestess. I like majorly, my income like went much higher than it had ever been. I just fucking killed it. Like, to be honest, I just fucking killed it. And it was so fun. It was so fun. I felt so excited. It was like, amazing. And in this season, this year of life, I've been leaning back more, and I'm noticing my ego really resisting that and feeling those anxious tendencies start to like peek their little head up again. And I'm on it. And I had like that was also part of me turning off my phone for a couple of days, was realizing like, coming off of this amazing retreat that I did, and like the retreat chat's blowing up, and I'm messaging people one-on-one about working with me more, or, coming into my women's retreat. And I'm like, I started to just get like frazzled and be like, okay, I actually need to turn off my phone for a couple of days. So I'm on it. It's great. I love it. And part of why I love teaching about the attachment styles in relationship and in business is because it also keeps me on myself about it. And I don't think it's a coincidence that I just finished teaching Business and Pleasure, which is my group, or it's my course for a pleasure-led business, scaling to 6 figures and beyond. It was amazing. And it's going to be available evergreen, and I'm probably going to create a mastermind around it as well down the line if you're interested in working with me on business. I got the codes for you. But we talked about the attachment styles, and I think that in the course, like, went really in a deep dive in it. And yeah, it's just understanding that your attachment to your business is not some like thing that you clean up and then you check that box. Just like any relationship in your life, it is ongoing, and it's in need of that constant recalibration and tending and just coming back to, am I in right relationship with my business? And really, to me, like, this is about treating your business, if you have a business, or your purpose, treating your business or your purpose like your best friend or like your soulmate, like a relationship that you care very deeply and dearly about. And to me, the primary intention of every relationship is to grow together. And that includes your relationship to your business. And you and your business, me and my business, we have a soul contract together. And this is so precious and so powerful. And your business can even be a way that you heal your attachment wounds. And it's definitely been like that for me. I am healing my anxiety and my anxious attachment on a deeper level because of my business. So thank you, business. Let's go on to confession number 5. We're almost done. I am ready to be a mama. I'm ready to be a mama. I am claiming it. I am owning it. I am also so fucking scared, but I'm also really surrendered to the timeline. So for those of you that don't know, Andrew and I have been together for almost 3 years. And when we got together, he was like, let's make a baby immediately. And I was like, no, I want to wait 3 to 5 years. And guess what? We're coming up on that 3-year line. So we're right on time. But we've been talking about it. We've been like throwing it out there. We've even had timelines. Like, we were supposed to start, we had timelines that we were going to start months and months ago, and it just wasn't aligned. because of all the things that were happening last year and in the new year. And now Andrew's kind of taking a sabbatical from work, so it doesn't make sense now. But interestingly, I never felt ready. And I kind of had surrendered to this fact, like, I don't think I'm ever going to be ready. I don't think that I'm ever going to be one of those women. Like, there are so many women and friends in my life that are like, I just can't wait to be pregnant. Like, I just want to meet my man so I can get pregnant immediately. And I've always been very different, very much in the camp of, I'm kind of terrified. I'm definitely not ready. I don't think I'm ever going to be ready, but I know I want to do it. So I'm going to do it. I've done things that I've been scared of doing or that I didn't feel ready to do in the past. It's kind of my MO. So it'll be fine. I'll do it. But it snuck up on me and now I'm ready and I'm really shocked and surprised. We're still not trying. So don't get all excited. We're still not trying. We're going to let a few more things settle in our lives. But I think that that's another reason why so many of my values are shifting and changing, and my relationship to my business and my friends are changing, because I'm just creating space for that transmission, that initiation to happen. Okay, confession number 6. I'm moving through them a little faster now because I know that we're almost at an hour. Confession number 6. This also feels edgy for a completely different reason. Confession number 6, I feel so fucking hot in this season of life. I feel hotter than I've ever felt. I feel more beautiful and radiant than I've ever felt. The 30s are where it's at. People have always said that to me, and I've kind of been skeptical, but I'm in it now. I'm only 31, so we have quite a ways to go into the 30s, but I feel so hot, and that feels edgy because I feel as women, it can be construed as bragging or selfish or like full of yourself to say, I'm hot as fuck. But girl, own it, own it. I'm here for it. I'm celebrating you in your hot as fuck chapter. Celebrate me in my hot as fuck chapter. We are here. And feeling hot as fuck is good for you. I believe it. I know that pleasure is orgasm, feeling pleasure in your body releases serotonin and oxytocin and other feel-good chemicals, boost your immune system, boost your mental health. So even if it's Delulu, it's not. I am hot as fuck. I know it. But I'm choosing to see myself in that light in this season, and it feels so good. I really feel so, so hot. Some things that I can credit to that, I think wearing natural fiber clothing has been amazing. I switched over to it was about a year ago that I recorded a podcast episode about how I have fully switched over my day-to-day wardrobe to 100% cotton, silk, and linen and wool. And it has been amazing for me, just feeling really good in my body. I've also really upped my skincare routine, doing more massage on my face, investing in higher quality products, natural products, getting facials regularly. That's been really amazing as well. This is random, but I have a gap in my teeth, and I had a gap growing up. I got braces to close that gap. I had a permanent retainer that kept that gap closed. And about a year and a half or 2 years ago, the permanent retainer broke. And instead of having them fix it and bring my teeth back together, I decided to just leave my gap. I love my gap. I never was a no to my gap. My parents were the ones that got me braces, and I don't know, what is the standard of beauty? In some cultures, gaps are considered very beautiful. And so I'm owning my gap. I'm loving it. And I'll also just share vulnerably on the other side of this that I'm kind of scared as fuck about the bar of beauty, like what the bar is. Like, I feel like, talk about lowering the bar earlier in the podcast, I feel like the bar is raising for what it means to be hot and to age gracefully. I watch movies from when I was growing up in the 90s, and I see the moms portrayed in the 90s movies, and they look so much older than 30 and 40 and 50-year-olds now. I'm just and everyone's getting Botox and all of these insane treatments, and I'm just feeling a little bit of fear around, how am I going to keep up with all these things? And I don't get Botox. I'm not planning on getting anything that's not supernatural injected into my face or injected at all. I'm probably not going to do anything in my face. I'm a pretty natural girly. No judgment if that's you. I have friends that do it. Awesome for them. I'm not feeling aligned on it. But yeah, I'm kind of scared about not doing it. And am I going to be like the old looking mom because I didn't get Botox? I don't know. Just vulnerably throwing that out there. Okay. Confession number 7. We're almost done. Confession number 7. This one is really bittersweet for me. It's kind of a big announcement around my work, and it's a big announcement for my listeners too. And maybe for some of you, you're going to be like, I felt this coming. I knew that this was coming. Not a surprise. And for others, this might be a little bit of a shock. But I am done working one-to-one with men. I am done working one-to-one with men. And this feels edgy, scary, sad to say because I built my business off of working with men. I've always worked with men, women, and couples. And I've loved having such an incredible, I mean, that's been amazing for my business in one way because I've been able to work with like anyone that comes to my doors, I have something for them. And this would be cutting off, half of my clients. I'm still working with I'm still like, marketing to couples here and there, but I'm done working one-to-one with men. And I'll also just say, if you're a past client listening to this and you're a single man, I'm still here for you. And like, I'm still open to taking work with men one-to-one, but I'm not marketing it anymore. I'm not like leading with that anymore. I'm not talking about doing, one-on-one tantric bodywork sessions with men anymore, for example. And for my past clients that I know and love dearly, I'm for sure going to keep working with them as it feels in alignment. If there's a man that comes through our Tantra Love Retreat and I really feel like I can help him, I'm not going to be like, no, sorry, I don't do that work anymore. And I'm mostly done working one-to-one with men. And this is difficult because, as I said, working one-on-one with men is what really built my business. So from the beginning, I was open to working with everyone, but men were the ones that really flocked to me. And that was probably because I'm like a young, beautiful woman, and and it was magnetic and it was aligned. But also we had I created amazing transformations for these men. I have seen the most guarded men break down in tears. I have helped men heal their hearts. I have helped men master their sexual energy and have non-ejaculatory orgasms and full body orgasms. I have helped men find their life partner, their dream partner. I have helped men go back to their marriages feeling whole, feeling ready to repair things, feeling excited to come back to love with their partner. I have given men the tools and the tips and the tricks and the codes of how to meet a woman's body with grace and reverence, and like they were praying at a temple. Like, I have really served men, and it's challenging to like let this part go. And I'll get into why in a moment that I've decided to do this, but I want to share one testimonial of working with men that it just feels, well, let me share why first. So part of this is because in this season of life, as you know, as I've been saying, I'm leaning back, I'm scaling down, I'm creating more spaciousness for myself and for my future family. And part of that comes down to, okay, I've got to like trim the tree down to where am I able to make the most impact? And I realized, hey, I can, instead of working one-on-one with all of these men, women, and couples, I could give women the codes to heal themselves, to heal their own relationship to their bodies. I can give women the tools to work with men. I can give women the tools to, create more cohesion in their union. Like, I truly believe that women are the leaders in love. And so to me, that's where I really need to be putting my energy, because they can, instead of the phrase, I don't know the exact phrase, I might fuck this up, but the phrase is like, you can either like give someone a fish or you can teach them how to fish. And that's really where I feel my energy is wanting to go in this season. I want to empower women with these tools that they can then use themselves, rinse and repeat over and over again for themselves and for others. So with that being said, I do want to share one testimonial that I got from one of my favorite clients ever. And here it is. So I'm reading this word for word. I have worked with Leola over the course of the last 10 months and have had a number of breakthroughs that are healing trauma that I've carried since childhood, that have lurked in the shadows and affected every adult relationship I have ever had. Leola has the wisdom of wise sages, the beauty of Greek goddesses, and the heart of the Divine Mother. In one of our most intense sessions, Leola held space for me while I verbally challenged her and her life's work. Upon reflection, this was me trying to break her, and get her to walk out on me like every other woman in my life always has. She did not break and ultimately led me back into my heart and into love. For the first time in my life, I believe I felt truly unconditional love from a woman in that moment. That breakthrough and building of trust ultimately led to a spiritual transformation during a heart de-armoring session, which culminated in what felt like the love of the Divine Mother, my lover, and my daughter all flowing through me. All flowing through Leola and into me at once. It was overwhelming and so incredibly healing for my heart and soul. Entering the world of Tantra has been exciting and frightening at the same time. It has proven to be profound and transformative, in large part to the guidance and leadership of Leola. If you are even remotely curious, I would highly recommend working with Leola and seeing where the journey takes you. So, incredible. And this is someone that we worked one-on-one in person, then we did like a virtual coaching package, then he came to the Tantra Love Retreat, and then we did a private retreat as well. So really committed to the path, and like it shows obviously the dedication and the transformation that he went through. So leaving this type of work is difficult, but I also know that so many more men get to have this transmission because of the women that I am now training and teaching in these modalities and empowering. And that's really exciting for me. And then on top of it, these women are healing their relationships to themselves, to their sisters, to their families, to their children. It's incredible. And I also just want to add, men are still welcome to come into the Higher Love Club, which is my online membership. There's tons of amazing content in there. I love having you here listening to the podcast. We're going to continue bringing on male guests and female guests that you will benefit from. I already mentioned the Tantra Love Retreat. Yes, I did. Oh, no, I didn't. Yeah. And men are also welcome to come to the Tantra Love Retreat. That's our co-ed retreat. And I also have some other amazing practitioners that I can recommend you to, both men and women, that you could work with if you are a man wanting to dive deeper on this path. So all of that. But again, it is so freaking hard to fully let this go. I took all of my offers that were marketed to men off my website. It was edgy, but it was exciting. And yeah, I just feel like I'm in my girls era. I'm really wanting to step into my next iteration of work that feels more mature and feels more powerful. And I've never felt more in alignment with my work than I've ever been. And in this last year, as I've dedicated more and more of my energy into working with women, it has just been so powerful. And it's been a journey over the years. As I said, in the first year or so of my business, I was mostly working with men and couples. And then I started working more and more with women. And then it was like I was about 50-50. And then slowly I started to have just more female clients. And then it just became like I need to create a whole container for women. And I started doing women's retreats regularly. And so, yeah, it's been a slow build, but now I'm officially closing the door on working with men. And so, yeah. And I've kind of spoken into this already, but I really feel like women are the leaders of love in this revolution. We are the temples. And it's time for women to, bring all of their priestess gifts online, and not in isolation, but in deep sisterhood, and surrounded by other powerful women who see, support, and celebrate all of you and are able to initiate each other. And so I'm really in this space of wanting to support women to traverse their shadows and embrace their full range and explore their darkness and their light and their softness and their strength and their surrender and their sovereignty, like all of it. And this to me is what the divine feminine is all about. And also like empowering women too in relationship to men to honor and respect men, the divine masculine, not from depletion, not from struggle, but from delicious overflow. And so this work is so powerful. And because of that, here we go. We're getting into the free invitation for you. I am so excited to invite my female listeners to, drumroll please, fuck like a priestess, live like a queen. fuck like a priestess, live like a queen. Fuck like a priestess, live like a queen. This is going to be a juicy masterclass that's going to be happening next week live. Again, it is free. In this masterclass, we're going to talk about what it means to fuck like a priestess, to really wield your pleasure like a force of nature, to transmute your desire into power, your emotion into magic, and to create intimacy that is a sacred act of creation. But this isn't just about pleasure. It's about leadership. It's about orgasmic leadership, being a leader in love. It's about unlocking those ancient codes in your body, those whispers of who you really are as a woman that have been woven into your body. We're going to talk about mastering the art of seduction to seduce the world into a greater good. We're going to be talking about intuition and emotional alchemy and stepping into an unshakable resilience, the type of resilience that only exists in a woman who knows what she desires, knows that she's worthy of receiving those desires. So this is the power of your inner priestess, and she's ready to be crowned queen. We're going to do it together on this live call. We're going to be talking about the 3 pillars to fuck like a priestess, the exact codes that will transform your intimacy, your leadership, and your life into an orgasmic experience. We're going to talk about the dark feminine superpowers. We're going to talk about the art of sensuality. We're going to talk about orgasmic leadership. And I want to just really hammer in this fact that this isn't even about learning something new as much as it is about activating something that's always been inside of you and is ready to be fully expressed and online. So this is happening on March 25th at 3 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Central time, and 6 p.m. Eastern time. If you cannot make it the live, do not worry. There will be a replay. And even if you're listening to this afterwards, still go to the website. The link will be in the bio. It's going to be www.talktantratome.com/F-CK. So /fuck, but the U is gone. It's F-CK. Again, it's in the show notes, so you can sign up there. Completely free. This is my gift to you. This is not just like a selling masterclass, although there will be an invitation for those that want to go deeper into this work at the end for those that are really ready. That's not going to be for everyone, but this masterclass is for all women, and it will be transformational if you let yourself be penetrated by these codes, babes. Okay, can't wait to see you there. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Have a sacred and sexy day, and I'll catch you next time on Talk Tantra to Me. Ta-ta. Over the years, I've been approached by many pleasure-based companies to promote their products, but I've only ever said yes to one person because I genuinely love these products so much, as well as the woman behind them. Wands, spelled Waands, is a crystal pleasure toy company, and they have been a part of my Tantra journey since the beginning. And they're not just toys, they're truly activators and beautiful sacred pieces of art that foster deep self-connection, pleasure, and transformation. These 100% pure crystal wands and yoni eggs help you unlock your body's wisdom, clear energy blockages, and amplify your pleasure, whether alone or with a partner. And it's not just about the products. For me, it's about the heart and the soul behind them. And the owner, Courtney, I absolutely adore her. She's been so generous to offer you, my beloved listeners, an exclusive 15% off with the code Leola, Leola. So if you're ready to honor your sacred sexuality and awaken your sensual energy, stepping into a pleasure-filled life, head to wands.com. Again, Waands, 2 A's, and use code Leola for 15% off. And you can always find the link directly in the show notes. Trust me, you're going to thank me later.